We have risen from the ashes to school the masses. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Scholars of Wrestling Show, episode 214. I'm your man behind the microphone, Scholar Jeff. To my right is Mr. Scholar in the Bank himself, Scholar Tarek. What's up, sir?
I am very proud of you right now. You are actually acknowledging the fact that I am Mr. Scholar in the Bank. It took you long enough, and again, thank you.
You are quite welcome. And, of course, to my other side is the current reigning Scholars of Wrestling champion, Scholar Brian. What's up, sir?
Let's get it completely correct. If I'm going to be champion, I've got to say it like Scholar Tarek used to, okay? The current reigning, defending, undisputed Scholars of Wrestling champion, Scholar Brian. That is. I will admit it. I will admit it. Okay, it's a good line, so I will take it if I have to.
And you just have to acknowledge that you're just got to do what I have to do.
No, and
I am the scholar, but you know what? Are inspiring to me.
It's okay. It's okay because I know where you got it from. Okay, you did not come up with that on your own.
But you acknowledged that you were taking something from my playbook.
As long as you acknowledge that you were taking it from somebody else's playbook.
Yes, I am fully aware that I'm taking this out of Paul Heyman's playbook.
So we're good. Moving on.
And you're taking it all out of my psyche right now. But that's beside the point. The point is
the guy who has neither a title or a briefcase.
Only momentarily. But you know what I do have? A show to run. And we've got a lot to talk about this week in wrestling, including quite a bit of sad news in the world of wrestling this week. But we'll talk about all of that and more in this week's edition of Backstage News.
Because it's such a depressing topic we're discussing, I feel adding some kind of humor backstage news intro is just not the right time for it. So no backstage news, I feel.
It's a sad man.
Mm-hmm.
Well, on that,
I'm sorry. It actually is very depressing.
No, it is. We definitely took a hit. And in case you're not familiar with what exactly we're talking about, we are talking specifically about Brickhouse Brown, Nikolai Volkov, and Brian Christopher, a.k.a. Grandmaster Sexay, all passed away on the same day this past Sunday.
Within a few hours of each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So, Brickhouse Brown, it was announced at first that he died about a week beforehand.
I actually read this story.
It's one of those, like, you knew it was coming because it was stage 4 terminal cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you knew it was coming. They just announced it a week too early.
At that point, he actually was dead. He was dead.
Yeah,
and as they were basically tying the what's it called, the toe tag.
Mm.
As soon as they're tying it on, he's just like, "Yep, hey, how's it going?
What are you doing?
How's it going?"
And so he lasted another week, but at that time, like, you knew
it was coming.
It was coming. So yeah. And Nikolai Volkov, the first big foreign villain. It's the name that you. It's the name that you know. When they talk about foreign villains, it's like it's one of the first two that pop up. Okay,
yeah, it's like Iron Sheik
it's
and
Nikolai
then Nikolai Volkov.
It's Nikolai Volkov and the Iron Sheik. So we lost a really, like, a pioneer in the art of heeldom, really, with Nikolai Volkov. And Brian Christopher, that's just a fucked up situation all around.
Yeah, that's again, for me personally, I really didn't have a lot of experience with Brickhouse Brown. Nikolai Volkov was a little bit before my time, before I started watching wrestling and WWF and all of that stuff. Brian Christopher, Grandmaster Sexay, this hit me absolutely harder more than any of them. Not just because he was part of the era of WWF when I started watching, or at least not too long after it, but just the whole story that came out about it. So that is by far the saddest one of all.
Because what was it? He got a year of solitary confinement or something, and it fucked with his head so much that he felt that there was no other way than to do what he did.
And the fact that his father, Jerry the King Lawler, was just like, you got to learn your lesson. I can't keep bailing you out, so I'm not bailing you out this time. And it just didn't work. He couldn't handle it. Attempted to kill himself.
And finished,
he was pretty much.
It took a little while to actually get the job done.
He was pretty much brain dead.
Yeah.
At the time, but they kept him plugged just so everyone could say their goodbyes, and that was the end of it.
Yeah, and even though all that stuff went down, there was still all those struggles with drugs and alcohol and all of that stuff, even years before that.
Yeah, the struggles that you hear all the time about guys from that era, Brian Lawler was like at the forefront of when you would hear shit about drugs and alcohol and all that. He was one of the first names that you would hear caught up in all that. So it's one of those where, once again, like, he was out of the public eye for a while, so you didn't really think about it all that much. But back in the day, it was always in the back of your head, like, hey, this guy might be one of the next for all the shit to come on down, like Crash Holly and all them.
Yeah.
So he was always in that conversation, and then everything went down where he left and all that, and he left the public eye. Like, you didn't really hear much from him for about 5-10 years. So, and this really came out of nowhere. Because when you're out of the public eye for that long, people stop thinking about you. So it's like, oh, Brian Christopher died. What? When back in the day, it was like, it would have been like, oh, yeah, that kind of makes sense. That's it.
Yeah, and I don't know what your experience has been lately in the past week or so, but I feel like I've been getting a whole bunch of just stories that run the gamut of what kind of guy he was. Like, yes, we all know about his demons and all the things the mistakes he made.
Do we really trust the likes of New Jack and Sabu
don't bring them up?
But I mean,
don't bring them up, because.
But I mean, do we really trust the likes of them to give us the true character of somebody?
No, absolutely not. And they're not even worth our time on this show. But neither of them are.
But the point I'm trying to make is, for every instance of that, I would also hear another story about, say, from one guy working an indie show, or one guy who ran an indie promotion, where he was booked on right after he got released from WWF at the time. Mm-hmm. So his stock was like, we're talking thousands of dollars for a booking fee at this venue. The show absolutely tanked. So at the end of the night, according to this guy, Brian Christopher gave the promoter an envelope, which was half of his booking fee. And he just told him, you know what, I've been where you are. My family's been in the territories and in the wrestling business my whole life. I've seen this before. I know what it's like. Take half of my booking fee back, use it to pay out the rest of the guys, and just pay it forward down the road. So even though, I mean, let's face it, have any of us ever actually met Grandmaster Sexay or anybody from Too Cool?
No.
No. Granted, at this point, I don't think either of us will ever know the full truth. But as far as I'm concerned, this is one of those cases where even if everything everyone ever says is true, extreme or not, there's way more to a person than how they perceive themselves to be and how we perceive them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like we all know that the guy had his demons. And because of those demons, he could probably come off as an asshole to people like half the time, but then you get the other half where he does with the story that you said. So it's like you can't get the true measure of a guy who's on the kind of stuff he was on.
Yeah, it's a true shame, and let's face it, the world is lesser for having him without us. Mm-hmm. So no matter what no matter what anyone says about you, no matter what you say about yourself, I'm sure you're hearing this from a lot of other people, a lot of other PSAs, and they're getting it from 3 randos on the internet. If you're in trouble, there are people who are willing to help. There are suicide hotlines, there's mental health professionals in your community right now who are willing to help. So if you really need someone, please. There are those who care about you even if you don't know. Reach out. Your life is worth it. Period.
Nothing more else can be said.
Other than, we'll miss all 3 of these guys, especially the ones we have the most connection to, which I think at this point is Brian Christopher for a lot of us personally.
Yes.
So
we'll miss Brian Christopher because we actually watched him. We'll miss Nikolai Volkov because he's the one who made the Foreign Heels that we have today. And Brickhouse Brown, don't really know you.
I've watched it. After finding out what happened, I knew we were going to talk about him. I watched a couple of his matches.
Yeah,
he was pretty good. He's only had a short time in WWF, so that's probably why they didn't really acknowledge him. But he definitely was big on the independent scene.
And it comes down to this, as it normally would, and really all we can say at this point: cancer sucks.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And that's pretty much it. It takes out everybody. So, Brickhouse Brown, nice to know you. Have a...
Rest easy.
Yes.
And there you go. We're going to miss all you guys. See you down the road one day. But in the meantime, we look from the past to the present and the future, starting off with This Week in Wrestling and this week's Monday Night Raw. Oh. Now, I will say right from the get-go, I've got a bone to pick in particular with this week's Monday Night Raw, specifically the Elias and Bobby Lashley segment.
You know what?
I'm gonna let you have this one.
You know what? Let's go. Let's start off with that one because of course the entire Raw was about Brock Lesnar being there, but this is definitely one that I really wanted to talk about. And
so did I.
And the fact that you told me before we started recording, you actually have a bone to pick with it. I can't wait to hear this.
Tarek and I are gonna drop our non-existent microphones and hand the show over to Jeff.
Okay. I will freely admit that I was never the biggest fan of Bobby Lashley. Not from the day he first debuted back in the day. I never saw any of his run in TNA. I freely admit that, even though you and several other people have told me, oh, hey, he's really good. Now, when he got re-signed, I was like, okay, maybe he's improved. Maybe the booking team has a better way to use him. They'll be great. Okay, another big hoss to eventually go after Brock Lesnar. And then, it'll be, okay, a big buff baby face versus Bork Laser, and it'll be all great. I must have missed the memo, or someone in WWE booking must have missed the memo about how much this guy has improved. Because even right from the get-go, it really seems like time just has stood still. Life has put the pause button on Bobby Lashley and just picked up wherever they left off. Oh, but wait, now he's got a headband. Woohoo. Now, here we are with a completely bombed feud with the king of charisma himself, Roman Reigns. And now we've got a completely ridiculous series of vignettes and matches between him and Sami Zayn. And now we're moving on to a guy I've actually come to like more and more progressively, week by bloody week, Elias. I am now walking with Elias. I'm now hooked into everything Elias is doing.
Did you download his CD?
I have not yet to do that. I'm going to stream it, and I'm very excited to do so, and possibly even buy his shirt.
I'm going to watch the documentary tonight.
And then Bobby Lashley shows up. I'm going to put this right out there. All the times I've ever complained about Roman Reigns, but in the past, my main complaint in the past with Roman Reigns has been that he sucks and he's getting pushed ahead, far, far ahead of people who are far more ready now. Now, We're at a point when Roman Reigns has improved in the ring considerably. His promos have improved considerably. Now we have graduated to a point where I do not want to get invested into Roman Reigns because I'm afraid of what Roman Reigns will become. Namely, the next decades-long one single solitary man at the top of the food chain, a la John Cena a decade ago, where he would just win all the time and would completely suck all the life out of the show and be incredibly boring because he never loses. I do not like Roman Reigns because I'm afraid of what he will become in the future, aka boring. To put that into perspective, does this have to do with Bobby Lashley? Well, Bobby Lashley is boring me now. At least Roman Reigns can put on an entertaining match or be part of an entertaining match in the present. Bobby Lashley sucks all the fun and joy out of the wrestling show I am currently watching. I don't care what it is. Bobby Lashley, I just cannot buy into him. Bobby Lashley sucks. Bobby Lashley does not deserve to suck, but Bobby Lashley sucks in the now. The booking team sucks when they're booking Bobby Lashley. When backstage sucks when they're handling Bobby Lashley in every single conceivable fashion. Bobby Lashley is boring and is a blight to Monday Night Raw.
So hold on. Okay, I need to get confirmation on this right now. Has Bobby Lashley overtaken Roman Reigns as your most hated WWE superstar?
In a word, yes.
Oh shit.
Roman Reigns, the issue has always been I am afraid of what he will become. Bobby Lashley is that right now, and he's not even at the top of the card. He's not hijacking matches, but he is hijacking any interest I have. At least Roman Reigns looks the part, and he sounds more like the part now, and he performs more like the part now. He's not the one undisputed top of the mountain for another decade kind of guy. Nobody can do that.
But you can sit through a match and not hate yourself for doing it. You can sit through a Roman Reigns match.
I can sit through a Roman Reigns match without going into a coma. Bobby Lashley, at least I can hate or be active and boo Roman Reigns. Bobby Lashley, I just feel like I've got the life force sucked out of me. And now he's doing it to one guy of liking progressively more week by week, Elias. No. Just all I want from Bobby Lashley is to just go away. If I want a big, muscly dude who can throw people around, I'm going to watch someone who's already over. I'm going to watch Big E and the rest of the New Day. Thank you very much. Bobby Lashley is just a complete waste of my time.
I'll say this. Just to go back to what you were saying at the beginning, because I watched Impact when he was around. Okay. One thing you can say about Impact, even though nobody watched them at the time, they gave their characters what they were supposed to be. Okay, Bobby Lashley was never supposed to be the guy that you see right now. He was never supposed to be the guy who was doing that shit with Sami Zayn. He was more supposed to be the guy that he was in the promos with Roman Reigns. Okay, and when he was promoing off with Roman Reigns, I was like, oh shit, we're finally getting the Bobby Lashley that we're supposed to be getting. And it's like, okay. And then he loses to Roman Reigns, and he goes right back to that guy who was facing Sami Zayn. So it's like, okay, in Impact, he was a heel. He was a badass who came in, wrecked shit, and left. That's all he did. He didn't speak. He just came in, wrecked house, became like 3-time champion. Okay, and you believed it in Impact. I would never believe him as a WWE Universal or World Heavyweight Champion, not with the character they have him in now. It's like the WWE did what they normally do with Impact talents and talents that are in the indies. They took everything that made them awesome in other promotions and were like, we don't like that because we didn't make it. So here's your character, go with that. And that's where we're at now. The WWE has dumbed down the character of Lashley so much that we are at the point where it's unbearable to see him on screen. And now that he's with Elias, oh boy. That's it.
I pretty much kind of have to mirror what you say, Brian. Although there were, every time I watched Impact and saw him, he was talking. And when he was talking, he kind of was the guy who just didn't give a shit what was going on. He didn't give a shit what anybody thought of him. All he wanted to do was just be the best, be better than everyone else. Because he was the heel, he said he was better than everyone else, and he went there to prove it.
It's a simple character.
He was a simple character, and he dressed himself to look like that party. He went kind of like baggy jeans, a shirt. He kind of had that the Sami Zayn hat.
Mm-hmm.
He was just basically, simply put, being himself. When it came to when he came back, doing that whole stupid sister storyline with Sami Zayn, yes, that completely wasted time for everybody. And when he was having that feud with Roman Reigns, like Brian said, he actually was getting very interesting. He was getting more. He actually was developing a character that I was like, you know what? I'm actually invested in what he has to say, and hopefully he's evolving from being just generic Bobby Lashley, where he's just nothing more than a guy. Now he has a headband, as you were putting it, and he was actually being something. He was actually being a character. Voicing like, oh no, it's because no one wants to see you against Brock Lesnar again, Reigns. I have the legit tools to actually defeat Brock Lesnar. And of course, they had the match. He won the first one, which meant absolutely nothing. There was nothing on the line. But of course, when the number one contendership had to be on the line, Vince McMahon had to continue. It's like, oh yeah, because Brock Lesnar's champion, no one can top him, no one can defeat him, but my guy Roman Reigns. That's what he's been building on for almost 4 years now. So as soon as Bobby Lashley lost, he just took whatever progress he was making, and booking just did a complete 2 steps back. Like he was making one giant leap forward. After he lost to Roman Reigns, he was taking 2 giant steps back, and now he's made to look like a complete idiot.
And now we're back in June.
And now he's even worse than the sister angle. He's at that point. He was singing Rockin' Robin, and if I recall, he didn't know the lines of Rockin' Robin.
He certainly did not.
All he
does not know the lines of Rockin' Robin. Are you serious?
Yeah, he's just like, Rockin' Robin. Oh, Rockin' Robin.
Smile at
Rockin' Robin.
To quote a guy who I watch religiously on YouTube, Bobby Lashley is dangerously close to get off my TV territory.
He's there for me now.
That's it.
He's there for me now.
And in my honest opinion, what you said about how you're afraid of what Roman Reigns will become, in my honest opinion, I think he's already there.
A case could be made
but
for that.
If
I'm
it's
not going to deny that.
But if it's a choice... if it's a choice between Roman Reigns and Bobby Lashley, okay, I'll take Roman Reigns all day.
Now I'll choose Roman Reigns because of what they had Bobby Lashley do this past week. If it was Bobby Lashley pre-losing to Roman Reigns, I would honestly choose Bobby Lashley because he was actually developing into something that caught my interest.
I feel like we're in some sort of bizarro universe where someone used a monkey's paw to wish away, oh, hey, I wish Roman Reigns wasn't the worst thing on Raw anymore. It's like, okay, your wish has been granted, puny mortal. Here's Bobby Lashley again under the WWE booking staff. Yay! Thank you, monkey's paw man.
Though, to be fair...
You're ruining my wrestling show.
To be fair, there was a lot of stuff that was going on Raw that made me angry. This was one... Pretty much what they're doing with Sasha and Bayley. Just okay. Now
Oh,
they defeated
Why did
the
we-
Riot Squad. They overcame the thing that was making them hate each other constantly. Whoop de doo. They have matching gear.
I don't understand.
Just
this
let them
entire
kiss.
Story.
Just let them make out, for God's sake.
It seems like that's where it's
Kiss
going.
already.
It's reaching
It
that
really
point.
does.
And I've read a couple of forums, and people are saying that they're noticing, like, they had Sasha say, Sasha admit on screen that she loves her. She loves Bayley. But we never had Bayley say, I love you back. So they're thinking, it'll eventually lead to some kind of match between them. I was like, well, they should have done it already. Why have them in matching gear? Why possibly build them? Is it because they're eventually going to have women's tag team belts?
Guaranteed.
Who the hell knows? That's another thing that angers me. It's like, then what was the whole point? What was the whole point of bringing Dr. Shelby back? What was the point of them having locker room fights? Hell, it even wasn't locker room. It was locker hallway, like in a high school.
What was the point? What was the point?
You're not wrong. I mean,
of
come
the
on.
last 6 months.
What
was
yeah.
This has been going on since the night after WrestleMania.
Hell, this was
Okay.
going on even before then. Elimination Chamber, Royal Rumble.
Yeah, but when it really popped off, yeah, you had the will they, won't they, and then you thought it was done because the night after WrestleMania, Sasha Banks beat the shit out of Bayley in the locker room, and you're like, okay, we're here now.
And now they're doing
now
they're doing awkward snuggles where everyone's
6
just saying,
months-
"Go ahead and pop that cherry and let them make out, for God's sake."
6 months later, it's like, oh, we're still here.
We're still doing this.
No,
No,
I'm
thank you.
I'm gonna take a second one. No fucks are given. Okay, none, 0. That's it.
And then
I'm gonna bite my tongue right now.
Many fucks are given for this one because no
I
matter
think he
what
likes
Sasha Banks does,
I think he's reached that point where he's intrigued.
no matter what
I'm not
Sasha,
saying nothing.
no matter what Sasha Banks does, this man will find something to like about it.
I'm not. Did I say that? I did not say that.
But you're not denying it.
I'm not saying. I ain't saying nothing.
All right, and then the other thing,
Yeah, proved every
honestly, I'm not a big fan of any of the women's storyline on Raw.
Because really,
It's
Ronda Rousey's first Raw match is going to be against Alicia Fox. Are you serious?
Well,
It's only
on-
because
on the
Mickie James is
series.
hurt.
Hold on. Think about this. Yes, Ronda Rousey is facing Alicia Fox on Raw next week. But conversely, Ronda Rousey is going to be on Raw wrestling Alicia Fox next week.
I just love the crowd reaction. Oh, we're good. Ronda Rousey, you're gonna have your match next week. Boo! We want a match now.
Every crowd
I'm
is
gonna
like
say
that.
I'm going to say this right now. Okay, if that match goes any longer than 20 seconds, I'm calling bullshit.
I will
don't
say
care.
the only women something going on that I am actually intrigued with is Ronda Rousey.
Yes.
The storyline she's involved with, I don't give a shit. But when it comes to
Ronda
Ronda
Rousey
Rousey,
is
she
here.
makes it. She makes
it.
it good.
Yeah.
Like that. The one. The
I'm gonna
the
really
match at
like that
Extreme
finisher.
Rules. Was it Extreme Rules with Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax?
Yes.
That whole thing sucked. The second Ronda Rousey got in, it was interesting, and then it sucked again.
And you know
Ronda
what?
Rousey
That's-
made Nia Jax look like a beast at
At
what
Money in
was
the
it?
Bank.
Money in the Bank. Yeah.
Mhm.
And that is one good thing I can say about this whole segment. At the very least, we'll have one good segment next week on Monday Night Raw that will be worth watching, guaranteed.
And I do like that finisher. I like what she hit Alicia Fox with this week. Maybe that'll be.
And Alicia
like the
Fox no
permanent-
selling it.
Maybe that'll be. Well, yeah, but I mean the actual move itself.
It's because Alicia Fox sucks.
The move itself, I think we finally have something that looks like it could actually work as a finisher, other than the armbar for Ronda Rousey. She doesn't have to break every woman's arm. Okay, she can win a match with a move like what she hit with what she hit Alicia Fox with. Alicia Fox, so better, you know better.
And then another thing that just angered me was Apollo Crews beating. What's his name? Authors of Pain 1.
Why is this
Oh, that
feud?
guy.
Why is this feud carrying on? What is this? Why?
I don't know. And it's
So
making
who's getting the title shot at SummerSlam? Is it gonna be the Revival?
I think it's going to be a triple threat between the Revival, the Leaders of World, and B Team.
Well, yeah, because there's always a multi-team.
Most of the card, it will probably be multi-man matches.
God damn it!
Get everyone on the card. There's great talent.
That's how they work.
There's like I said,
Yeah, they're
there's
gonna
great
get
talent.
They're gonna have multi-man matches, but they're gonna be like 8 minutes tops
For a potential 5-hour show.
You'd be surprised.
I'd be okay with that.
Let's see.
There's gonna be music guests.
That was. I sure as hell hope not.
You know there is.
The positives. We talked a lot of negatives on this one.
Brock Lesnar. Why would I watch the show?
I think he just added that in.
I love that.
He just added that in. That wasn't in the script. He doesn't care.
The show. Why would I watch the show? Give me some steak and some potatoes and a baked potato. And what he's losing now.
Oh yeah.
He's just
as much as I loved what they were doing with Brock this show, it also just angered me because
you just telegraphed everything.
The end segment is exactly revealed the reason why they're doing this. Because it's been all built. Brock Lesnar just does not give a shit. Kurt Angle even gives the Paul Heyman the ultimatum: you get him out in the ring or you're fired. Brock Lesnar's like, I'm not your friend. I'm not doing what you. I don't. You're not my boss, or you're not my boss. I'm your boss. That whole ordeal. This whole thing is just being built to get you to hate Brock Lesnar. And then I was like, yeah, I know this. I know what they're doing. They want me to hate Brock Lesnar so much that it leads to, we want Roman.
They got
people chanting, "We want Roman."
They got the children.
That's what this is all about. It's not about Brock Lesnar leaving. It's not about that. It's all just the ploy to get Roman Reigns over.
However, I do have a somewhat counterpoint to that.
It makes me feel manipulated.
Not necessarily.
This is how it's making me feel.
I know, but consider this. Someone brought this up to me, and it sort of makes me look at this whole thing a little bit differently. When did that chant start?
The end of the show.
What part?
After Brock.
At what moment?
After Brock F5 Kurt Angle, scared away Constable Corbin, which, that's another thing that angered me. 50-50 booking with Baron Corbin and Finn Balor, but we don't need to talk about that.
It happened right when Brock Lesnar was threatening Paul Heyman. The people weren't doing that or chanting that because they love Roman. Well, they were chanting that in response to how much they care about Paul Heyman.
I think you're looking too far into it.
I don't know. Paul Heyman has done a pretty good job.
And it really doesn't matter either way.
But he's also one of the more consistent.
Only us smarks will actually be like, I love this guy.
However, it's not necessarily because of love. With Kurt Angle, obviously he's physically built. He's a competitor. Mm-hmm. When it came to someone like Paul Heyman, he's very clearly not a wrestler. He's very clearly a manager. He's a talker.
He's not a manager. He's an advocate.
He's an advocate. I stand corrected.
Get it right.
But he's also an advocate that is not a physical force. He's a talker. He is not a fighter. He is not a wrestler. He is not a warrior. He is a chubby little fat guy who
has a very big mouth.
But all the same, they don't want to see him get beat up. And we don't want to see him get bullied.
But here's the problem. Okay? People do want to see him get beat up. Okay? It doesn't matter if it's Brock Lesnar doing it or anything else. The thing about Paul Heyman is that the way he speaks and the words he uses, okay, he is Bobby the Brain Heenan in this era. Okay, so yeah, people do. You don't want to see him get his ass beat. We don't want to see him get his ass beat. Casuals want to see him get his ass beat. I don't care what the deal is. Okay. that was a very casual town
Oh yeah,
that they were in.
they're in Miami.
Very casual.
And
Hold
that's
on.
yes.
Very casual. Let's see what happens when they actually get down to brass tacks and broke. We know what's gonna happen. No matter what they do to try to get Roman Reigns over in that time period, whether it's setting him up with Paul Heyman or anything like that, we all know how this match is gonna end. Paul Heyman's gonna turn on Brock Lesnar. Because we all know that Roman Reigns can't beat him clean. We've known that. We saw it at WrestleMania. We've seen it for years. The only way he can beat him is if he has help. And now we have the motive for Paul Heyman to turn to Roman Reigns instead of Brock Lesnar. That's what this was. This wasn't to get Roman Reigns over. That's what I'm taking this as. This wasn't to get Roman Reigns over. This wasn't. That just kind of happened. Okay, this was a very Roman Reigns friendly place because isn't he from that area or whatever?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
from the Florida area.
So they're in his hometown kind of area. So he was probably gonna get some kind of that reaction at some point. Okay, no matter what. This was to give motive for the Paul Heyman turn at SummerSlam. We have it now.
I was hoping for a Braun Strowman cash in because I remember him saying the second Brock shows up, I'm cashing in. No,
Yeah.
it didn't happen.
We have the motive now, and that's what this whole show was about. Okay, that's what all this with Brock Lesnar, Paul Heyman, Kurt Angle. That's what this is all about.
Took the whole 3 hours to tell us this.
Okay, so it's a happy accident that Roman Reigns got the chance that he got tonight. That's what I'm going with.
Yes, and like you said, these next couple weeks are really going to cement and really make it very clear what position the WWE is going to put everybody in. But in the meantime, we also have this week in SmackDown Live,
which also had a storyline throughout the entire show.
Yes.
But you know what? I was more invested in this one.
Well, it's the one women's storyline throughout all WWE that I actually really give a shit about.
It still kind of pisses me off, but I'm still invested in it.
And that is the fight that Becky Lynch is trying to get to reclaim the SmackDown Women's title, just for Charlotte Flair to return and get that same exact opportunity.
Hey, guess what? Another build-up. I know what's gonna happen. Okay, that's it.
What's gonna happen, Brian?
This is the impetus for the Becky Lynch heel turn.
Becky Lynch.
Her
expression at the end of the show was just
look
fantastic.
At that. Like the Charlotte out for months. Okay, comes back, immediately gets a title shot that was already Becky Lynch's.
Not even just
she already had it cinched.
She pretty much is like, it's not even just she wasn't handed a title shot. It's like she's given an opportunity for that title shot.
Yeah, it's like I've went through all this shit for months. I've beaten everyone who's put in front of me. I beat the champion. The championship match is mine. Then I'm stupid and trust the champion when James Ellsworth's music comes out. And
actually, her opening promo was
awesome.
It was like,
yes,
it felt, it was very real because she was even pointing out that she was in that funk. She was in the lower rank of the SmackDown Women's division for such a long time, and that she's clawing, she's fighting, she's going through the entire roster just to finally get that opportunity to be SmackDown Women's Champion again. Like, at that point, you are all for her.
Yeah, I'm not saying the promo was bad. I
never said it was bad either.
I'm not.
I liked it.
I wasn't saying you were saying it was bad. Shame on you.
I'm not. I'm still
just
saying
sitting here
she
liking
was.
things.
I'm still saying she was stupid for the obvious reason. Carmella comes out, doesn't cut a bad promo herself. That promo was, it doesn't say much. Okay, but it's one of the best promos she's cut while being a champion. That doesn't say much. I know that. But with the story that Becky told, okay, it works and it puts it together. It didn't bring the segment down. What brought the segment down was she offers her hand. Becky Lynch does the obvious thing and said, no, fuck off. That's it. And then the music hits. You just said no to the heel champion's handshake. And you let her get behind you.
That's just typical babyface booking. With
That's
WWE.
just typical babyface
Y'all
booking,
dumb.
but it's like it's still stupid.
It's like
So
that's the thing. How WWE books babyfaces, they're just complete idiots.
I'm still calling you stupid. I love you, but you're still stupid.
You're stupid. I love you, but you're stupid.
So she attacks. Out comes Charlotte, and that is what gets Charlotte a chance at the title shot. And you know from the moment that they set this match up that Charlotte's winning. Come on. There's anyone who thought differently. Come on. This is how storylines work. And I know it's going to work out for the best in the long run because we're going to get heel Becky Lynch versus face Charlotte Flair for like the entire winter, for the entire fall and winter, and I'm perfectly fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
But you just want to see Bad Girl Becky show up.
As for now, it's like
I'm not hearing a denial.
I deny nothing. I'm not gonna deny truth. That's it.
With that truth, I don't want you to ever get on my case for enjoying a Sasha Banks match again. Anyway, continue.
Well, the difference is
you
like Becky Lynch. I hate Sasha Banks. So I'll get to. So
I win either way. Go ahead.
So the moral of the story here is once again we have motive for a turn.
And it's you can see where the heel is coming from.
Yeah, it's the one good thing that Raw did, okay, was give motive for what we know now is going to happen. Okay, that's the one good thing Raw did. Raw didn't do much good, but it's the one good thing that it did. SmackDown came and did a better job of giving motive for a heel turn that you believe in. And like she scratched and clawed her way through the ranks for 4 months,
including Charlotte,
to get this title shot right here. And here comes my so-called best friend to take away my one-on-one match the first night she comes back. I'm like, I see Becky Lynch winning at SummerSlam, Charlotte trying to celebrate with her, and Becky Lynch just going apeshit and taking her out, and we get the mandatory SummerSlam heel turn that we get every year. So that'll be the one, and I'm here for it.
Anywho, that was not the last thing we saw on SmackDown, or at least not the least talked about.
Do we want to get the orgasm out of the way first?
It was a sexy tag team match.
I figure we get the orgasm out of the way first.
I'm not gonna lie. I want to sit at that pancake announcer's table.
Yes. I love the fact that the New Day was sitting at that new table and Byron Saxton was looking over at them like a proud father. Look at what I've done.
But when it came to the tag match, these two teams are just naturals together. It was just perfect tag team match. Cesaro pulling that beautiful uppercut on whichever Uso he did it on Uso number 1, while Uso number 2 gets countered by knees up to his chest and a roll up. And as I said last week, the Bar versus the New Day for the number 1 contender spot for the Bludgeon Brothers SmackDown Tag Team Championship. And in my honest opinion, we've seen the New Day and Bludgeon Brothers already. We've seen the Usos and Bludgeon Brothers already.
Getting the Bar.
I want to see the Bar versus the Bludgeon Brothers.
In all seriousness, that is a very likely scenario and one I'm very happy with.
Oh, and I'm happy too.
I'm going to say it.
And I'm making it clear I can't hide it.
Oh, God. The one thing you can count on.
You got your Becky moment. I got my Sasha moment. You got your Cesaro moment. Everyone's happy.
I'm
We
gonna
put
say
smiles
that,
on people's faces on this show.
I'm gonna say this.
it's
The
more than
one
just
thing you
smiles.
can count on.
Shut up.
The one thing you can count on with SmackDown, whether the storylines are weird, if the storylines are bad, you can always pick it up with great wrestling. Okay, that's the hook with SmackDown. SmackDown is once again the wrestling show.
Although the real flaw from this week is that there are only 3 matches on the card, and 2 of them were like Charlotte and Carmella. Meh. It was a mess.
Yeah, this is a week where the
second one was a more story-driven match. It was barely 5 minutes with Zelina Vega and Lana. That was more story-oriented than actual wrestling. The only real, legit wrestling match that we got was this 13-minute tag match that was at the beginning of the show. The rest, it was a very promo-heavy show.
But you know
and
what?
It didn't hurt. It wasn't. I wasn't saying that like it was terrible. It was a terrible decision. It's just you could definitely tell for a wrestling show to get very little wrestling.
But you know what?
It took a few notches down.
I'm not even gonna say that. I still enjoyed this.
Oh, I enjoyed it too.
I still enjoyed this about the same as I enjoyed last week. You want to know why? Because once again, it did a better job than Raw did of building up its storylines towards SummerSlam. Mm-hmm. Okay, there was nothing that had me turning away from the TV in disgust. Like this, I don't want this on my TV. There was nothing like that. Okay, Samoa Joe's promo.
Samoa Joe should be
That.
Samoa Joe should be at a higher point than where he is now.
Seriously, does Joe know how to cut a bad promo?
No.
I don't think he does.
And it is now. Before it was a wrestling match. A wrestling match we wanted to see, Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles. Now it's personal and a grudge match.
It's going to be a fight.
Because of what Samoa Joe said in this promo. And once again, I'm here for it. I'm here for all things SmackDown on SummerSlam.
When it comes to Raw, there's only really three story. Actually, I'll say four storylines that gets me interested. The three in which are actually building for SummerSlam, and the other one is actually like, you know what? I'm intrigued on where they're going, and that's the Mojo Rawley versus Bobby Roode. It's a very undercard feud, but I like both guys. So Mojo's actually being a legit. He's actually being built up to being a legit heel, and Bobby Roode kind of needs a redemption arc, and I feel like these two actually kind of need to face each other. The second is. Can
I make one point before you continue?
Sure.
In the year 2018, Mojo Rawley is more of a credible threat than Bobby Lashley is. Think about it. Continue.
Wow.
Mind
blown yet?
Not yet. I need more time with that statement. The second one is Braun Strowman versus Kevin Owens. They use that story. The fact that Braun lost by a countout to Jinder Mahal is like, oh, if this happens to Braun at SummerSlam, he loses the briefcase.
There's still intrigue there, even though there's you.
Third, Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre. That was a great build, and they build more towards the feud with him and Dolph Ziggler for the Intercontinental Championship. Seth talking about the numbers gain and the fact that it actually is overwhelming him, which is strongly hinting at a return to Dean Ambrose to even the playing field. I'm more than intrigued on that one. And look, we're gonna get Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose versus Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre.
That'll be fun.
Yeah,
yeah. Shut up and take my money.
Yes.
And then you have the Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns. Those are the only things that they're building for SummerSlam, and I'm actually somewhat intrigued. Less so the Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns for obvious reasons, because it's just obviously what they're planning on that one. But when it comes to SmackDown, it is just constant constant build for SummerSlam. Everything.
And
is
you
built
really
for
have,
SummerSlam.
and you really have no clue what's gonna happen.
I feel like the only thing that really happened on this SmackDown that really isn't building to SummerSlam is the Rusev Day angle.
Yeah, if anything, that'll be pre-show. Whatever that is.
It almost looks like we're going to have a very unpredictable and interesting prediction show and subsequent title defense for SummerSlam.
Hey, Brian.
It's true. It's true. I couldn't tell you who I'm going to pick between AJ Styles and Samoa Joe right now. I have no idea. For at least the SmackDown side of SummerSlam, I have no idea what's going on.
and it's meaning it as a good thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's like this. I love the fact that there's pay-per-views where like there's a legitimate shot that I'll be a one defense champion because I have no idea it's not like I'm walking in like, I know everything that's gonna fucking happen. Like last year we basically didn't we all tie
for SummerSlam?
Yeah.
I need to look that up. I have the scores on my computer.
So in other words, you're taking this as an admittance that your title is in danger.
It's never not. Okay.
Anyone
who thinks differently is lying to themselves. Your title is always in danger.
Not for my title reign most of the time, but
hush.
That's
lying
to
yourself.
No, I'm not lying. I'm not lying. I was pretty confident in my title reign, but that's another conversation for another day. But we're talking about SmackDown.
Any other thoughts on SmackDown?
Daniel Bryan
and The Miz. It was great. It was a great build. The
crying babies part.
The
was
crying
weird.
baby part was actually kind of pointless. I feel like that wasn't needed.
If they just kept it with the Miz decrying Daniel Bryan's indie background,
and Daniel Bryan counteracting it is like, you're never going to be the star that you claim to be. You're not going to be The Rock. You're not even going to be John Cena.
Yeah, if that was where the promo left off, it would have been
fantastic.
It would have been awesome. And then they brought out the crying babies part, and it got weird.
They could have built it even further down the line, even further in their past. They talked about talking smack. It's like, you're not letting that one go, but you can go on to the United States Championship feud. You can go up to their NXT days when he was the Miz was his what did they call them? Mentors? Coaches, thank you. When he was the coaches. This is basically, 10 years now?
You have plenty of history to work with here.
Yeah, these guys have plenty of history. These guys are pretty much today's version of like those big feuds that have just been going on for so long. They're the Rock versus Stone Cold Steve Austin of today. They're Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels. At least in the ring, not behind the scenes. They're probably best friends behind the scenes, but they're perfect characters of hating each other. But yeah, minus the baby thing, they have plenty to build on with this one. And they can even have their wives show up and have their little bits like, oh, my reality TV show is better than your reality TV show. I don't want that, but WWE's stupid enough to probably actually pull shit like that in the next 3 weeks. Or is it now 2 weeks?
I think it's about 2.
Is it 2?
2 weeks on Sunday.
2 weeks on Sunday. Okay.
Yes. So I guess we're all in agreement that SmackDown was the better show this week.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna say yes. SmackDown was the better show, but the fact that there was lack of wrestling definitely took a couple of points off for me.
Yeah, it didn't take any points off for me. It was clearly the better show.
But even though it was more promos, every promo had a point.
Yeah, everything on the show mattered at least a little bit. Mm-hmm. It wasn't, yes, and I'm including Zelina versus Lana in that.
Mm-hmm. It just continued with the Rusev.
Exactly.
Rusev
everything continued something that they've been building up for weeks beforehand. Mm-hmm. Okay, which I can't say for Raw. Mm. So, in my eyes, no matter what happened with the wrestling, okay, it was still hands down, clearly the better show.
Mm-hmm. So as always, those are our thoughts from this past week in wrestling. Now, we're turning the floor over to you, our listening audience. So drop us a line all across the internet, wherever you may be. If you're joining us on YouTube, leave us a comment. Give us a thumbs up or a subscription if you like. If you want to hear more every single week. If you're joining us on Facebook, look for our page, The Scholars of Wrestling Show. Give us a like there too. If you're joining us on Spotify, follow our podcast, subscribe there too. We always love to hear from you. But if you really want to get in touch with us on a more up close and personal matter, you can check us out on Twitter. Starting with our main page at ScholarsOW for all the latest episode uploads every single week. And of course, you can also contact us and join the conversation on our personal Twitter accounts. Fool, where can he reach you?
You can reach me at The Avatar.
And Champ Brian.
You can reach your reigning, defending, undisputed Scholars of Wrestling champion at Atomic Beanpole.
And you can reach me at I'm Robbie Rage. Follow us, join us in the conversation. It's the best part about being a wrestling fan in this day and age. Join the conversation, have some fun. And with that, you guys got anything else?
Yeah.
For this week?
I think I got a little something.
A little something, you say?
Hold on.
Holding for what exactly? Holding for glasses? What? Fool, you've got glasses too. Wait, what? Oh well, we're doing this. Might as well roll with it. Tarek, hit the music. You know who we are. We're the Scholars of Wrestling, and you have just been schooled.
You're welcome.
See you all next week for the Road to SummerSlam.